Welcome to the NEPA Scene Podcast. We're coming to you live from Cole Creative in downtown Wilkes-Barre. I'm Rich Howells. I'm the founder and editor of NEPA Scene.
I'm John Popko from Alt 92.1, and I'm the Saturday night host of Alt Natives on Alt 92.1.
And tonight we're here with Joe Nardone Jr., co-owner of Gallery of Sound and the owner of Rockology Music Academy, and Fred Maier, the co-owner and co-founder of Susquehanna Brewing Company in Pittston. So we're going to be talking about the NEPA pop-up record swap and hops event at SBC Brewery on December 9th. Connection between music and beer, as obvious as that may seem. Running small family businesses, the beer and record industries, and much, much more. So we would love for you to tune in for the full hour and join our conversation with your questions and comments. We would value anything that you guys got to say down below. We will get to those later in the show. We'll read them off and respond live. So it'll be a good time. So stay tuned for the full hour. And if you enjoy the show, please share it. Let people know about it. We're always fighting against the Facebook algorithm to get out to as many people as possible. So any bit of help you can give us on that would be great. So if you enjoy the show, please share it with your friends. But before we get to the interview, we have some beers that actually tie in perfectly with our subjects tonight.
Yeah, out of respect for Fred, Brian gave us all beers by SBC, even the coveted SBC Small Batch NEIPA, series number 1.
Nice.
Is that mean there's going to be a series number 2?
Yeah, there'll be a continual series. At least that's the plan.
All right. It's nice having a guy here that knows what he's talking about. The SBC Orange is the new ale, which is a very good one. And the SBC Blueberry Thrill, which is newish.
It's seasonal. We make it short seasons throughout the year. Once a year, we'll do it for a couple months and then put it back on the shelf.
And Fred also brought...
Well, I brought Blueberry Thrill as well, but our Toboggan Chocolate Doppelbock, our winter seasonal.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
very good as well. So thank you, Ryan, for the beer from Beer Boys.
And we want to promote their glass night is tonight and every Wednesday, so you could stop down for Blue Moon in a tall Blue Moon glass. And they're also having a Blue October concert ticket giveaway tonight as well, so make sure you stop down.
Who's putting that on?
For that? Oh, I don't know. Do you know who that might be?
I don't know. But what's cool about that is tickets are sold out online. So
Oh, really?
you can only win them, or there's 2 venues in Scranton you can buy them fee-free
Nice.
from. So, yeah, sold out.
That's nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's December 7th at the Woodlands.
And they have a half-price happy hour on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays from 9 to 11, and Fridays and Saturdays from 8 till midnight. We also want to plug their entertainment on the weekends. Friday, November 30th is Flashback Friday with DJ Rich Steele playing 90s and early 2000s songs. That makes me feel real old. Saturday, December 1st, Christmas Bash hosted by DJ Kenton Hurdle. Cash prizes of the top 3 ugliest Christmas sweaters.
That's always fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you. So we're starting with the NEIPA.
Yeah, I figured we had to. It's very limited right now.
You can tell it's very, very hoppy. It's good stuff.
Thanks. These beers are fun, though. This is kind of like dairy fresh milk. That's why we do them in small batches, because it's really a process called dry hopping, where you let the alcohol through fermentation, and then you just dump loads and loads of hops on top of the beer, as opposed to traditionally putting them in the kettle. So it's really about aromatics, and it brings out a more fruity flavor instead of that mouth-drying bitterness.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't. The flavor doesn't last long, so these beers kind of have a half-life.
Right.
So like every couple of weeks, they're half as good as they were. So I kind of tell it, drink them. We'll make more.
Thankfully, Beer Boys get some pretty fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fred was saying that Beer Boys has been one of their biggest supporters since day one.
Day one. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll probably be saying this a lot tonight, but Susquehanna is easily one of our favorite breweries in general, not just local, but nationally. We've been drinking them a long time. So
Thank you.
we'll be kissing your ass a lot tonight.
All right.
We also want to plug the V Spot, our other sponsor, one of the most popular bars in northeastern Pennsylvania with live entertainment every night of the week. This week they have Angelina on Thursday, D West with Thomas the Red and Death Wish Birdie on Friday. That should be an interesting show. Three Imaginary Boys on Saturday, and DJ Huff is hosting karaoke on Sunday. And our NEPA Scene Rising Talent open mic just ended. Our next 12-week run. So thank you all to anybody who supported that. If you checked out the live streams or anything like that. But more importantly, if you showed up and you performed, we really appreciate it. We had a good time. We gave out a whole bunch of prizes, and we have one more prize to give away. So starting either tomorrow or Friday, we're going to have on nepascene.com/rising talent. You can vote for your favorite acts from the past month. And we'll run that all the way until right before Christmas, and then decide who the winner of that poll is. So we still have one more prize to give away, and we'll be back sometime next year. Not really sure when yet, but check our page for announcements on that. But thank you all for supporting that for another great season. And thank you to the V Spot and all our sponsors for making that possible. That always happens.
Rookies.
Yeah.
I was gonna tell him too, but I'm like, nah, Joe's
I had it
smart.
shut
Just
off,
let him.
but
Joe's smart.
I had the ringer off, at least. I wasn't ready. There was no
Nobody
way to stop.
wants
There was
to-
no way to stop that.
Nobody wants to hear my voice more than they have to. So.
The echo's good. Hang on. Please turn down your radio.
Well, let's get back to you guys. Oh, yes,
on.
you actually have.
Hold on.
Not only are you going to talk about it, but you have it here for us. This is going to be fun.
Joe,
I gotta.
I have to ask you to leave. No, so we're also sponsored by Wild Meats, and everyone has a person on their shopping list that is the worst person to shop for.
Right.
I am that person on my entire family shopping list, including my wife. She never knows what to get me. So they make it easy. They have these cool gift packs. I brought them today. They come in these cool boxes. You get them, you wrap them, and literally you give them to your loved ones. And they come nicely packaged with that cut up. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Good to go.
And you can get free shipping on any order at wildmeats.com with Popco free at checkout.
And they're local guys.
They are.
Which is cool.
They are. I brought some samples. We can have some. But wildmeats.com
Where they
free.
located? Wilkes-Barre?
Yeah. But don't go to the store.
Or you're running some other.
Yeah, it's
Game
nice,
over here.
nice little.
I missed that part.
Yeah.
I was screwing with my phone.
Yeah, well, stop it. But yeah, it's pretty neat. So, like I said, come nicely
These
packaged.
kids and your phones, I'll tell you.
We'll be selecting some of these for sure.
Wildmeats.com. Use the code word POPGOFREE for free shipping at checkout. Simple.
Nice.
Comes to your door.
I'm curious. We'll have to pop one of those open during the show here.
Yeah. We'll chew on some jerky. See, I like this because the texture's good. Fuck
yeah.
that. Like,
When did you make it?
About 4 weeks ago.
what's that?
The NEIPA.
He's running
There you go. If you want to try
a
one.
sample. He's running a analyzation of this
Yeah.
beer over there.
You can't go wrong. We're going to talk about music, beer,
Beef
jerky.
jerky.
Like,
Yeah,
All my
right.
favorite
this
things.
is sort of a man
Oh,
show,
yeah.
you know?
Right. We might as well turn into the man show at this
Right.
point.
But yeah, these are actually like the old labels. He just did a complete rebrand, so yeah, like that and on the boxes. But it's good stuff. I think it's the
Is it
perfect.
just branded locally or is it made?
Joe, you asked me questions that I don't know.
I thought you were involved there. That's all.
Yeah,
Made in USA.
yeah,
That's all. That's all I need to know.
yeah. USA. It's good though.
I'm not a jerky guy, but this is actually really good.
I enjoy it, and it's easy.
So speaking of beer and music and all that, I figured we'd start off by talking about the connection between beer and music. It seems like a match made in heaven, but it's something that I think most people think to put together at a concert or whatever. We also see a lot of beer brands sponsoring concerts and stuff like that too. So maybe you guys could talk a little bit about that connection and
And there's probably
how that works.
beer sponsorships going back to the time there was probably the first sponsorship ever. You would think, which isn't that long ago.
Right.
I would guess, and this just came to mind, was the Rolling Stones and Budweiser, which is two. That's a combination for you.
Two big American brands, right?
Right. So that probably was one of the test cases. I can't think of many before that. And now with Record Store Day, there's a beer sponsor. There's been multiple beer sponsors, and there was actually a beer for Record Store Day, which maybe we can get a local one this year.
That was
Do our
Dr.
own
right?
thing. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, a couple years in a row now. And then there was a record that went along with the beer, that went along with the beer sponsorship, which is pretty cool. The Flaming Lips did the song, and then the song was the beer name of the beer as well.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty good one this past year. That's sort of the modern day version of it. Beer sponsorships for concerts and tours and venues are huge. I mean, it's, if you look at Live Nation, certain beers are sold there basically because that's the deal that was made.
Right.
And that's how it goes. I mean, can you get in there? Are you in?
Yeah, they're actually pretty easy to work with on
Yeah,
it.
good.
That's kind of one of the lucky things. Craft beer is kind of cool right now, so
Right.
you got to have something local because people come from out of town, and what do you have? So you can at least get one spigot just for asking nicely.
Good.
Well, there's a lot more local beer festivals that I think than there used to be. Now, all of a sudden, it seems like there's one every couple months, even during the winter.
They're constant. I mean, it's absolutely, it's kind of one of the first things I did was go do some of those shows, and there's always a band, there's always music, so
Yeah.
it is kind of does go hand in hand. So there's some that I won't miss. They're my favorite days of the year. Sadly, it's like my day off is to go to some of these beer shows and hang out and talk to people and just be a random guy pouring beer.
Yeah. But I mean, it's something that you've been doing for a very long time. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like how my life goes. Where if I go out, it's usually for something for the site, and it's related to the
Yep.
business in some form or another. I'm sure it's the same, and I'm sure it's the same for you, Joe, as well. With, mixing business and pleasure, so
Oh
to
yeah,
speak.
there's a lot of great events that come along with the record business. Got to go to Austin, got to go to South by Southwest, kind of like New Orleans.
Nice.
We have our convention there now. Currently, for the Record Store Day convention, has actually been in New Orleans the past 2 years in a row. That's a really great town. If you if you like to eat and if you like music, it's a pretty good spot.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about the record and music industry, like from your point of view? Obviously, it's changed drastically, and you are still surviving, and I think flourishing because I'm in there, and there's always people in there buying records or CDs or.
Now we're at
it's
the
just-
size that we're at. It was a good rise, and then we burned it down. But now we're stable with 2 stores. One in Wilkes-Barre, one in Scranton. I mean, if you look back on our stores, you could have walked to a few of them right from this spot we're in Wilkes-Barre right now. You could have walked to Kingston, you could have walked to South Main Street, you could have walked further down South Main Street and we had stores, and you could have walked to Wyoming Valley Mall. That's how many stores we had in a cluster. Mm-hmm. And then we started branching out. We were in Bloomsburg and Matamoros and Mount Pocono. And all those smaller towns can't support a record store now. I mean, you just can't. I mean, a record store's a destination. It's not, you're not in the mall by accident and people stumble in to buy a record or
Right.
buy a CD. We fought through all the big boxes that wanted to be in the record business, Circuit City being the main problem, sort of devalued CDs,
gone.
Out of business. Best Buy, out of the record
It
business.
stopped, right?
Yep.
Yeah, they don't even
Target.
anymore.
Embarrassing selection.
Yeah.
Walmart.
They do like exclusives, like for the.
They have
pop
exclusives
stuff.
and nothing else.
Right.
There's literally nothing in there. You can't find a CD except for the 100 top sellers and the other 50 that are some sort of exclusive for them. Walmart's still a couple hundred titles, but we've seen our catalog CD sales go up recently, mainly because one of the major manufacturers, Universal Music Group, has a really aggressive program on right now. We've got CDs for $3.99, $4.99, $5.99, $6.99. Good titles, real good titles. That you might be able to stream it, you might be able to download, you might be able to do whatever, but for $5 or $6 or $8, you're like, yeah, I'll just get it.
Sure.
I'll have it. Having the original is still means something.
I'm there every week.
Yeah,
You
you're
see
in.
me.
You're a good customer. I see it. I can follow you. So the business changed a lot, but just one in Wilkes-Barre, one in Scranton, I think it's working for us. Yeah.
Well, now it's like you're such a specialty thing that people go there as a destination shop as opposed to like you used to go to the mall.
I mean, that's why we were
and,
able to
like-
leave the mall.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean, I think what we used to pay in rent to that mall. But I also think about what we used to do in business there. I mean, it was worth it at the time.
Sure.
But at this point, when we got out, it was the right answer at the time because we would see our customers literally parking at the door, walking into the store, and leaving the mall. At that point, what was the point of being in the mall
Sure.
and paying that kind of rent?
Yeah.
And now the mall, say what you want about the mall, but it's not the same mall. And being close to the mall is good enough. Being in the neighborhood.
Yeah, you're
is
right
great.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's by design.
Right.
So
And
you
we're
guys
right
still-
across the street in Dixon City, right across from the mall. And our, the main location in Wilkes-Barre, that's our spot.
So you guys still feel pretty secure then about where you are now then?
I mean, now it's a whole different business, but I'm pretty happy about where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're having
But
a
you're
good
also
year.
doing different things, like you're doing like in-store, shows.
I mean, everything grew out of the rise of vinyl. Because we'd be out of business. It would be absolutely over if records didn't come back.
Really?
If record store day didn't happen, if record stores selling vinyl didn't happen, and if used records didn't make a comeback, it was absolutely over. We struggled through that as records got more popular. Our stores sort of leveled out. I mean, we probably could have kept one or two of those stores that were far enough away, but they didn't survive the time when it was happening.
What do you see for the future? I mean, it's always changing. I see cassettes now on your countertops.
Yeah, cassettes are. I mean, I'd like to. I would. Vinyl is real. Cassettes are a trend.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't make any sense. Like when you think about why people buy vinyl, they want
Right.
a better sound.
Absolutely.
Cassettes are like the worst.
Right.
For sound.
Well, they're not the worst, but they're close. I mean, the 8-track
8-track's
comeback
probably
is
worse,
really the
but
one that you want to.
Still,
the
cassettes aren't
one.
much better.
But really the having a cassette, it's kind of neat, and it's got the mixtape is coming back. So and it's all good because it's all different people. It's younger audience wants a cassette right now because it's
Sure.
cool, and all sorts of audiences want LPs. The people who had records that are, I got my turntable back out, I'm playing my records. I didn't remember how great these things were. And then all the new people who look at a record and go, wow, this is really cool. I've never, there's artwork, there's all sorts of liner notes. Look at how cool this is. Look what I could do with this record. So all those people that we're sort of bringing on now, all the bands that come through the store, all the emo punk sort of underground bands that come through, including all the big local bands, the Menzingers, Title Fight, Tiger's Jaw.
Yeah.
They're all pretty big on the scene. I mean, not just here. They're big bands. I mean, the Menzingers have been on tour for a year and a half now since the record came
Right.
out. And they're, I just saw today they're going to Brazil. I mean, how about it?
You've had
Yeah.
Bayside there. You've had the Wonder Years
Yeah,
as well.
We've had a few. We've had
Yeah.
Wonder Years a couple different times.
Yeah.
I mean, there's if you look up, if you check the Wonder Years videos on YouTube, we come up pretty early with like a really early show with the old stage, and it's got 40,000 views. I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see like the craft beer business. Everybody's talking about how it's booming and how it's shooting up and everything like that, which is true to an extent. But do you foresee something like now that there's so many craft beer businesses, is it gonna hit a point where it starts to go down at all? Do you think?
Not as long as we all keep making good beer. I mean, I think that's rule number one. I think the original craft boom in the 90s, there was a lot of bathtub gin out there. People would just make it, fling it across the country, forget about it, and people got sick of it. Well, now the quality of the beer is tremendous. So as long as, and especially being able to go right to the brewery and buy your beer, so these little brewers are making a small amount of beer, but they're making a long dollar. so they could survive that way. So I mean, it would be like Joe recording the music and pressing the music and selling the records. I mean, it's literally what some of these guys are doing. They're 4 or 5 people. You know, they're able to sustain themselves because everybody's coming right to them for the beer. You're cutting out a lot of the middlemen. It's a kind of one of my favorite sayings. Garrett Oliver, the brewer for Brooklyn, one of the really forerunners of this industry. It's called a return to normalization. It's the way it always was.
Right.
For most of brewing, you went to the brewery. Like, beer didn't travel 2,000 miles to get to you. It traveled 10
Sure.
tops. That's actually pretty far.
With low-grade ingredients.
Yeah, beer got industrialized. Kind of like, became corn grits and fast processes, and somewhere around.
Is there rice too? Rice.
Budweiser uses rice sugar for their
That's why it tastes so great.
main ingredient. But somewhere in like the 70s, without anybody noticing, small became cool again. It's kind of pretty funny talking about records. I just on a whim, I bought my daughter. My dad still has a pretty incredible record collection. Mm-hmm. So I had it in college. I kind of put it away so my buddies didn't mess it up. And I got my daughter a record player. She's 11.
I have to interrupt because there was some point where everybody thought it was a good idea to write their names on their records. That was never a good idea. And in the secondary, tertiary market, writing your name on the record was the worst thing you could have ever done for that record.
Oh, man.
I guess people used to loan their records out so they could tape them on cassette, which was I'll date myself on this one, but there was a record industry thing that used to say home taping is killing the record business. Now that was if they only knew what was going to really kill it.
Yeah, exactly.
They wouldn't have worried about the cassette copies or the crap you recorded off of the radio.
Yeah, talking about my 11-year-old daughter, I got her a record player.
Yeah.
She's absolutely in love with it. What I love about it, she's not on a phone going click 15 seconds. She actually drops the needle on the record and listens to a whole side of an album. Mm-hmm. And then she goes over and flips it and she takes care of. And it's not just the single anymore she's listening to. I think her favorite one is Fleetwood Mac Rumors. Like
nice.
She was like burning, and it's an original.
So she's got good taste already.
I'm kind of shocked. She pulled it out of the box, put it in. I don't know if it was Stevie Nicks on it or just dropped it on, and I'm like, that's a 40-year-old album you're listening to.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't mine. It was just something I pulled out of my dad's box.
I can't do the whole record thing. I'm already so far invested in CDs.
Right.
So I just, and they're big. I don't have the room for it in my house. But I was at my mom's house this past weekend over for Thanksgiving, and she gave me probably 25 records. Bruce Springsteen was in there. There's decent names. Dire Straits.
That was your early collection?
I guess that was theirs. My mom,
Not yours. You were never records.
No, never records. I had some cassettes. I think my first cassette was Aerosmith Get a Grip. My first CD was The Presidents of the United States of America. With the Peaches. And,
yeah, I know.
And then, yeah.
Well, I think what you mentioned this too is the album is now a lost art where everybody's all about singles now and streaming and stuff like that. And I think the album is an experience. You have to listen to the album the whole way through, or flip the vinyl over and listen to the second half. It's an experience, and a lot of the music all connects together. And now I think that's being lost quite a bit because people aren't listening to albums the whole way through, and some of them, to be fair, aren't being written that way anymore.
Yeah,
but I think there's a good
some
amount
bands
of them that
are still trying.
Yeah,
but some bands are writing the singles and writing to just release a bunch of singles or whatever works. I see all these artists sort of directing people, stream my album or pre-stream my album or do whatever weird thing you could do.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they understand that they don't make as much money on that. Like, if they sold one T-shirt on their website, or they sold that vinyl package with the T-shirt, with whatever, they would make infinitely more money than that stream will ever get them.
All right, real quick. My friend Josh Turner is a big advocate for streaming. I'm like, don't fucking do that. You're not, if you like the artist, buy their album.
Well,
you're going to support them more that way.
Here's one way to look at streaming. It's just another radio station, and you're in the radio business.
Be
I
careful.
know. But it's just, but you can kind of control it. Because I can't control your station sometimes.
Right.
I want to not listen to some of those songs. But
Except for my show, of course.
no, your show's fine.
Listens to it all the way through, 9 to 10, Saturday nights.
That's right. And they played all the great local bands.
All the great ones.
And some of the other ones. But sometimes people think that that's a replacement for something else, but it's not. It's just listening to the radio, just a different way. They want to charge people, they want to do different things, and you can control it. No ads, yes ads, pay, don't pay. It's satellite radio that you can control, kind of. They're all competitors to regular terrestrial radio.
Right, sure.
But, if you want to know if there's a car accident up the street, you got to turn on the local radio,
Right.
pretty much. Some channels. Some that you
Or the
work for.
phone, whatever. But go ahead.
No, I mean, you have traffic reports on your
Yeah.
radio station,
No, absolutely. Yeah.
right? So if you want local, you have to turn on the real radio. If you want to control what you listen to at work, for example, then you might stream. But the end game for the artist is to get you to either come to their concert or buy something. Buy their record, buy their T-shirt, buy their experience package, whatever it is.
Yeah.
All those things will get more money into the artist's pocket than that's 2-cent stream.
Right.
Or not even
Now,
a 2
there
cent
are
stream.
some bands-
Not even a 2-cent stream.
Yeah, it's like .00.
Right, like
Yeah.
less than a penny stream.
Yeah.
But it's like, but if they add up to $20, you
Yeah.
still made more in the T-shirt.
But discovery, I think, is probably a big thing.
Yeah.
Using those outlets as discovery to then buy the album or to go to the show.
But the secret
Oh.
is in hip hop, the stream is everything. Everything. Because the deals are a lot of upfront money. Like the old days where the artist gets screwed. Here's your money. Give us a record.
Right.
Give us 10 singles this year. Their money's gone. Whatever happens after that, sometimes there's CDs, sometimes there's not. Sometimes there's vinyl. Sometimes there's nothing. It's only streams, video, YouTube. All the things add up to whatever it adds up to. Somehow it works out. But the artist is paid, and the label owns the record,
Right.
and that's how they like it.
What I don't like about streaming and down like iTunes or things like that. iTunes is a virus. First of all, it overtakes your computer and tries to take all of your other audio files and make them one of the iTunes hive mind or something. But what I can't stand about streaming in general is that I don't own it and it can go away at any time.
You could lose your stuff.
Yeah,
for sure.
exactly. That stuff goes away, and if all these big giants that we thought would never go away, and then in a year or two they're gone, I don't trust any kind of streaming service or anything like that,
Well, that's
or any
why-
type of I'm going to buy an album off of iTunes that iTunes might not be there in 5 years or 10 years.
And you're probably right.
And now that album's gone into the ether.
I mean,
now I got to go rebuy it.
The
somewhere
future
else.
plan for iTunes is to just be another streaming service.
right?
So whatever else goes on there, be ready when that's over, because it might end. And
Yeah.
that would even disappoint me because I use some of that technology.
Sure.
I'd like to carry my whole collection around.
I have
Yeah, the
I have one of
convenience
those old
design.
school iPod Classics.
Mine broke.
Well, I'm holding on because it's like 160 gigs.
Yeah.
And
Right.
it has.
It'll die
type.
eventually.
I know.
It's
This
a
is like my third
mechanical,
one.
but you can actually upgrade that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except it doesn't have Wi. It doesn't have some of the modern Bluetooth
Oh yeah.
things that you might want it
it's
to
got
do.
that big fat charger in the bottom that no one
Yeah.
makes anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta have old stuff around.
It's better
But
it's better than having those big
it's definitely in their
CDs.
plans to get rid of the iTunes pay $1 a song in the
Weren't they already
next
doing that
5
with
years.
Apple Music?
Absolutely. They
Isn't
want,
that
they want you
already
to
in
be on
process?
they want you to be on $10 a month.
Yeah.
And if you want to have a history lesson on Napster and everything else, they said, all the wise guys at Napster came to the record companies and said, if you could just get all of your customers to pay us $10 a month to listen to your music, you'll make infinitely more money than you ever made today, tomorrow, and the other day when they were selling 10 million CDs. And they're like, get out of here. And then we had a war instead.
Yeah.
So
Here we are.
here we are.
All right, so
And the
Insider-
technology wasn't there either. I mean,
Right.
the technology was there. Yeah, you can download it and do whatever. But to have music almost everywhere on your phone took 20 more years.
Yeah.
No, it took 20 minutes to download a song on you.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It
can
was,
still hear the phone.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I mean, the technology wasn't there at the time, but some people have future vision.
Everything was
for sure.
mislabeled too. You download stuff, and it was like some guy who, called everything punk was Green Day.
Well, then it was just like you're getting viruses, you're getting
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And
Same
it was a
thing
wild
with,
west.
like Blockbuster though. Weren't they offered something like that?
Netflix.
Yeah, they could have bought
They could've bought
Netflix in
Netflix.
its
Netflix,
infancy.
and they said no.
Yeah,
Like fuck
they were
you.
like, no, the streaming is never going to take off. What are you
Right.
talking about?
I mean,
a little too
technology
late.
took a while to catch up to all these things,
Yeah,
but it did.
it's kind of
But here's one thing: people still like to collect stuff. You collect comics.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know what you collect,
CDs probably.
right? So you say,
Jerky.
well, when somebody comes to your house, you say, well, here's my collection of.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
So my collection of MP3s. Not that sexy, doesn't show much, not so good. So you say, well, I collect records, I collect CDs, I collect comics, I collect artwork, whatever it is, there's still, that's what's keeping physical media alive.
Right.
So MP3s won't get you laid. What you're saying.
Probably not. It's not too sexy. Your phone's not too sexy. Everybody's got one, and,
Yeah.
Beer, however, that's a different story.
and you can't download beer.
Yeah.
So Fred's
Thankfully.
safe, and you can't even ship it around the country, or not into Pennsylvania, so
And
you're
really,
all
all you
good.
can do is rent it.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's merely rented.
So Joe's given us some inside secrets to the music business and the record business. And talk about your business.
I don't know. Kind of the cool things that you're talking about, like music and beer, it's a passion industry. It's something that you just absolutely love, and it's same thing like Joe's family business. It's been driven. It's something that's in his blood. So it's beer. And beer's it's an affordable luxury. Like we're talking about, how much is a great album? $15 for a good piece of vinyl. The greatest bottle of beer in the world is $15, $20.
Yeah.
So you're not spending.
Except that Black Friday beer.
But
Whatever
that's
that
not
is.
even that
I didn't even know that was a
expensive.
thing.
It's
That was a
it's
thing.
fantastic. It's great. But
I didn't even
still,
like it. I thought it was overrated.
But it's a high. It takes a year or two to make. And it's $10 a bottle, $15 a bottle. It's kind of remarkable. So it's really an affordable luxury that
I paid 20.
everybody could relate to it. Who doesn't drink beer? Who doesn't listen to music? So it's a great social business. It's got ungodly history. It's fun.
I wish when I was in college, I would have saw this happening, because I would have been
too expensive.
more in science and all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. And
You want to be a brewer, you mean?
that'd be great.
Oh, all the brewers they're chemical engineers, they're biologists.
Yeah.
Like they go to school to do this. And
I wish I was in that so that
I could throw a lot of BS around and get you through a tour,
Yeah.
and then somebody will ask me a real serious question. I'm the first person to say I don't know. You just went way over my head talking about certain processes and things like that. They're really hardworking. Where blue collar meets the sciences. I mean, these guys are incredibly hardworking. I go out in the brewery. I'm like, this is great. It's 95 degrees. I'm gonna go back in the air conditioning.
But they love it.
They love it. They absolutely
so
love
passionate
it. They
about
work 10 hours a day and sweat their asses off and go in the bar and drink a beer at the end and come back in the morning and do it again.
See, I wasn't a beer guy until the craft beer stuff started taking off. Before that, I always thought it all tasted like crap. Why am I going to drink this stuff? And this is all the big guys. And to me, it still does to this day. It doesn't taste good. I'm not going to drink it. So now you have this weird dichotomy where now craft beer is taken over, and we have all these great flavors and all these interesting ideas and all this passion put into it. And then you get shamed for it. Like, I've had people on this very show who are like, oh, what are you drinking this snooty stuff for? Where's the Bud Light? And it's like, what are you talking about? Why would I want to drink pee? Like, I want to drink good stuff. I want to drink stuff that actually tastes good,
But, one of the funny things that you could judge a lot, like I said, I talk to people all day, every day about beer. And you can kind of learn a lot from people's attitudes about if somebody, I've gone to parties where if you're into jam music and hazy IPAs, like you're cool. But if there's, my God, if you pull out something that's not that,
Right,
you
right,
kind of
right.
get shamed too on the other end.
That's
So,
true. Yeah.
You got to find that happy medium. Like we actually we don't really disparage any brewers because, Miller Lite might be a boring bottle of beer, but you know what you're getting.
Right.
So we all aspire to make that bottle of beer. It's if you're spending, toboggan's $40 a case, and it's a food memory. So as soon we make it once a year. So you might have a 6-pack a year. And the first time when I popped that open, we hadn't made it in 2 years. I poured my first one, and I'm like, that's it. I'm like, we knocked
I think
that
I might have
out
had
of
one
the
of those
park.
in my refrigerator.
Some people they get lost in everything, and it holds up. But you've got to hit the nail on the head every time because you don't want that. Because people are there's so many options out there.
Sure.
You gain them and lose them one at a time. So you've really got to meet people's expectations 100% of the time. So it's a constant struggle to do it right.
It doesn't seem like you guys are really chasing trends either. There's some, craft beer people, no names mentioned or anything, that seem to like whatever the hot thing is at the time, they're going to quickly try to make it and pump it out to get it out there for that particular craft beer audience is going to sit there and wait in line for 100 years to get something that, like I know a guy who like drives all over the country buying this stuff and essentially to more or less to brag about it more than drink it.
Yep, check a box.
Yeah, exactly. Like, look, I got this and
got.
whatever. And it's like, that's great. Nobody cares. You know what I mean? Like, just drink good stuff, like you don't have to necessarily
That's one of the
shove it in
ironies
people's faces,
it's people lose that camaraderie. I've watched 20 guys in a room talk about all the beers they had, and all of them are missing the point that they're talking to people about things that they love. Instead of saying, "Oh, that was great." Well, no, you should have tried that one. You missed that.
Yeah.
Come on, and
Exactly.
enjoy the beer.
I see the same thing as a comic book fan too. Now that the movies are taking off and they're $1 billion things. When I was a kid, I got picked on for liking Spider-Man. Now it's like, I see the same jocks who picked on me walking around in Spider-Man shirts, giving their kids Spider-Man figures, and I'm like, come on, But at the same time, I have to go like, well, it's cool that people are into it. People like it.
Yeah.
They're enjoying themselves. Like, that's the whole point. When I was a kid, I wanted more people to like it. Now I got what I wanted. I can't be bitter about it. I can't be mad that everybody else is doing it now.
Yeah, I really don't care if you're a poser or not. You're supporting the industry.
Absolutely. Right.
The more
You're
beer
keeping
you
this
buy
going.
makes more beer for me too, because we'll make more.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's probably a good segue into what you guys are doing at this Swap and Hops,
Yeah.
correct?
Oh, yeah, it's kind of, like I said, they're two great social, affordable luxuries. It's something I can't wait to go. The early response we've had for this event, because we're just attracting two interesting groups of people together for beer music. I mean, come on.
We're planning a really great event. We're going to have 25 or 30 vendors. We're going to have some record stores from out of the area. We're going to have some of my customers who have really great record collections that are going to sell off some of their stuff. We're going to have, trade-ins. You can do whatever you want. We're going to have vinyl DJs all afternoon. It's going to be a nice day. It's free admission. You take a tour of the brewery, get a free beer at the end. How could you go wrong?
Nothing wrong with that.
Happy hour from 12 to 2, 5 to 7. We're there 12 to 6.
That is one of the funny things. We'll be open 7 years this spring.
Wow.
And part of one of our missions was to raise the bar of beer in northeastern PA. We have NEPA right on our tag. It's our icon on our cap and everything.
Yeah.
And when people walk in, I don't know what they expect, but they're awestruck by the size of it. Like, we did not get in this business to screw around.
No, absolutely not.
And so
You
people
went
come
all
into it.
in.
It's a
And you can eat off the floor in there.
It's a 55,000
It's
square
unbelievably
foot,
clean,
like, cathedral
unbelievable
stainless
place.
steel. So it'll be a very unique, and actually it sounds really good in there because the ceiling's insulated. So the sound is actually pretty good in the brewery too, for whenever we have bands and music and everything. And so it's going to be a very, I'm real excited. It's going to be a unique, great event. Hopefully we can make it an annual event.
And whose idea was this? Was that you going to Fred or Fred come to you?
Joe.
Yeah, we were cooking up something else gonna do a couple tours and do a couple different things, and then we settled on just staying in one spot and bringing the records into Fred's brewery. Us, Gallery Sound personally, we're gonna put out 5,000 records that haven't been seen in our stores to this point.
Oh, nice.
So we picked up a few estate buys. We've got some really great records that nobody's seen. Some great stuff, $2, $3, $4, $5 stuff. Some $50, $100 records. I'm going to take some records out of my personal collection that I'm going to part with, maybe, for the right price. We've got other dealers coming in. We've got other collectors coming in. Anybody's welcome to get a table if you're a collector and you want to sell your wares at the event. You can do that by going to the Facebook event page, and there's a link off of that to register to be approved as a vendor. We may do some things sort of related to music if we have some space. We're gonna double check the amount of space we have in the brewery. I think we have room for even more tables than I thought. So maybe we're gonna add a few sort of, I don't know, sort of crafty
Related
vendors
stuff.
related that might want to get involved, because I've had
There's a
some
lot of
inquiries.
those punk rock flea market
Right,
kind of things.
it's kind of like that. And if any of those vendors want to reach out, hit me up for sure. We'll
We need a tattoo artist or something.
Yeah,
There you
right.
go.
we'll do whatever. Yeah, it's going to be.
Get on all the trends.
Yeah.
The way it's going, I think a lot of people are going to be here, and I think it'd be good for you to sell your records, come buy some records, hang out at the brewery. It's all good,
And it's indoor and warm.
right?
So we'll turn the
And we're
heat
bringing
off
some
for
food in.
I was gonna say food trucks.
Right.
Yep.
Well, we've got some food. We have some commitments and some sort of commitments, but we've got Batelli's Villa from Wilkes-Barre, one of my favorite local restaurants.
I've never gone there
Gonna
before.
Well, they're gonna bring it to you now. They're gonna have meatball sandwiches that are famous, and also some porchetta, which I don't think's on the menu there, but I think it's gonna be
Oh,
one of the
nice.
specials, and some special dessert, which they're talking about doing something with maybe a beer combo dessert. So they'll be there, and we're working on some other possibilities, some barbecue, maybe some other things. So as soon as we lock these things in, we'll be posting them online as we get better commitments. I mean, we're a week and a half out here, and it's looking good. And we just got another sponsor. We got the record store Crawl as our sponsor, which is kind of cool because maybe we'll get one of those here soon. I'll stand up for a second and grab this, because if you come early, you'll get this bag. The first 150 people through the door are going to get this bag for free, just for showing up. And inside the bag will be a flexi disc for sure from a brand new artist, some stickers, some slip mats, your chances to pick up some slip mats, like maybe another David Bowie thing, or maybe the Flaming Lips, who are part of our
that's cool.
record store day event, or maybe even some Led Zeppelin. Now, not everybody's going to get a slip mat, at least not yet. Maybe we'll pull that. I might be able to pull that off before we get to next Sunday. But everybody, at least the first 150 through the door, will get this record bag, or possibly a different record bag if that's your thing, because we'll have a few different styles. But over 100 David Bowie bags for sure. That's just for showing up. So we're up in the ante.
Nice.
It's a win-win. A
Absolutely.
free beer after the tour,
Yeah.
free bag.
Right. I do. Nice
Show
afternoon.
up.
Show up.
That's it.
Now, is this obviously this is geared towards collectors and stuff like that? Is it good for the general person who just wants to come?
I mean,
in
if
and take a
you're
look
into
around?
records at all, I mean, we'll have records out for $1, and we'll have records out for $100. I mean, that's how we're going to do things.
Yeah.
I've asked my customers that are going to do some selling to bring their good records. Don't bring your junk. Bring some good stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the point, to get some different records sort of into different hands. Lots of guys who collect records have multiple copies of things.
Right.
They got this version, that version, this version, and maybe they don't need 6 versions of the record.
They can part with.
So
one.
they might want to spread the wealth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're gonna have some high grade records, and I think we're gonna have some nice some good people around buying records, and if people have some records to trade in, by all means, I would suggest bringing in high quality stuff. If you want to trade records in, you've got 300 records from a family passed down. That's more of a thing you probably want to do at the store.
Right.
which we do every day. And, I would suggest that the records are all together, cover, record, not water damaged,
Right.
not left in the basement for 100 years.
You see a lot of that?
Oh,
Records?
absolutely. I mean, we see it all. We turn down, a lot of records that are just unplayable, unusable.
I bet.
They're all-
And we still have a quarter bin too, but it's below that. I mean, it's just, take them out of here.
Now here's a dumb question: is anybody going to bring in equipment? Any turntables, needles?
Yeah.
What if somebody's buddy comes in and says, "This looks like fun. I like this."
We have turntables at the store. I don't think we're going to make the scene with the turntables. Maybe we'll have something there just for show, but
Yeah.
not for sale necessarily. The vendors are lined up so far, record vendors. But we do have turntables at the store. Above if you're only on the turntable that plays out of itself, we won't mention any names of brands, but if that's all you can do, you need an upgrade. You need a substantial upgrade, and we can help you get there.
Well, speaking of people just kind of coming into it too, I think the great thing about SBC too is that you don't have to be like a super craft beer nerd to enjoy the beers.
No,
there.
we make it all.
Right. There's a little bit of everything for everybody, and like the Golden Cold or something. Like if you're
my
if you're
favorite beer.
a fan of your standard
That-
lager or something like that, like that's your go-to right there.
That was the first beer we brewed, and our goal literally was to make a beer that Charles Stegmaier would say, "Well, that's good." Really,
Yeah.
it's just something like it's called a Munich Helles. It's literally Munich Bright. It's a Southern German Pilsner style beer. It's a Bavarian beer hall beer. It's Bavarian malt, Bavarian hops, Bavarian lager yeast. Even kind of our water around here is like perfect brewing water.
Never heard that
Soft,
before.
Yeah, right.
clean.
No,
Oh,
really,
it's
no.
fantastic. It's all surface water. I mean, it's funny. I live out in Dallas. We have groundwater. All the reservoirs in the back mountain flow to the valley. It's all soft surface water, so it doesn't pick up the mineral content that kind of throws off lager beer. So it's easier to start with soft water and build it up for IPAs because it's called Burtonization. The first IPA, the first ale, pale ale, Bass Ale, Burton-on-Trent. So they actually have a harder mineral content. So it's easier to kind of throw those minerals in the water than it is to strip them down. So really everything about brewing beer in our brewery, it was the most serendipitously lucky thing we had. We got it analyzed and the Germans didn't believe it. It was like, that's too good. Like,
So, Fred, can you explain your connection to Stegmaier? Because I don't think I even know the whole story.
I am the great grandson of Charles Stegmaier. I'm a 6th generation American brewer. So he emigrated from Germany in 1849 and in 1851. Well, it's kind of a cool story. He literally landed in New York, and lager brewing was like Silicon Valley back then. It was the height of brewing technology, and there were no lager beer here, son. Go to Philadelphia. So we got to Philadelphia, which was the American center of brewing, and met a gentleman, John Reichard. And you can still see he has a brewery near the courthouse. You can see there's remnants of the brewery, Reichard and Weaver. But he came up here, brewed beer, bounced around, and in 1857 founded Stegmaier Brewing Company, and here we are, still doing it.
So are they separate companies?
Yes. So Stegmaier still exists as a label, but in 1974, my dad closed the brewery, and they sold the rights off to the Lion.
Okay.
So we went to work there for a while, and then we kind of joined the evil empire, sold a mass-produced ale, a mass-produced beer as a wholesaler, and that was a lot of fun growing up because even then they were their own company. Now they're all multinational conglomerates.
Right.
When you worked, Anheuser-Busch was owned by the Busch family. Coors was owned by the Coors family.
Yeah.
Miller was Miller. Now they're all one company.
Right.
Wait, all one? No.
Well, no,
Budweiser one.
Miller Coors.
Miller Coors.
Well,
is the
but
other.
Budweiser owns Miller outside of the United States. Molson owns Coors. So Yuengling is the largest American-owned brewer of beer.
Yeah. Which is interesting to think about,
Yeah.
considering they're so local. But
Yeah, they're all 51 miles away.
But they're brewing in how many places now?
2 breweries in Pottsville, 1 in Tampa.
They use corn, right?
A little bit, yeah. Well, there is kind of one of those funny things where you talk about traditional. When the German brewers came to America, they couldn't get the malt. So they have very pale malt in Germany. When we got to America, we had like a heartier blend, so they actually cut it down with corn. So it was really out of trying to flavor match and everything. And then with World War I, Prohibition, and rationing, basically a lot of breweries closed up. They didn't survive the war, so that didn't survive Prohibition. So you went from about 3,000 breweries in 1900 down to about 700 after Prohibition. And Stegmaier had a great tagline.
That's like the record business.
Yeah, well, brewed to the taste of the nation. So they tried to make one beer for everybody. And when you try to do that, things just become bastardized. They get more and more generic.
Right.
But that's what it was. You tried to make it paler and more appealing to more people. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of Fritz Maytag at Anchor Brewing Company. Maytag family, Maytag appliance family, went and bought a dying brewery. And he's the first guy to say, I can make this work. And small became cool again. And then Yuengling popped up. And Yuengling, it's just so corn in beer is not necessarily just cheapening it. It just got industrialized around World War II.
Right.
So more and more and more. If it was 10% corn, it went to 90% corn.
So it's what we think of as beer today, not necessarily what people were maybe drinking a few hundred
And when
years ago.
Yuengling came around, that was like versus Budweiser. That was like, wow, this is beer.
It's still, it's kind of funny. People talk about the area and beer. I'm like, 10% of the beer in the area. Like, I was weaned on it. Like, I drank so much Yuengling in college. Most people are drinking Natty Ice. We were drinking lager. And it was one of those things. So our definition
It was like
of
the
beer-
low-grade Strohs.
Oh, you're getting a little bit before my time. Strohs. Man, Fire Brewed.
That brew was like down the road.
Well, now
In-
it's owned
in-
by Sam
in
Adams.
Bethlehem.
Yeah, Fire Brewed from Detroit. It's a good story, too.
It's interesting too to see all these big brands that put out beer and try to either they buy up craft brewing so that they can say, hey, look, here's a craft beer and market to those people
Goose
that
Island,
normally
right?
would drink
Yep.
the big stuff. But then you have this stuff too that kind of masks itself as craft beer. That kind of looks like it could be craft
Yep.
beer, like a Blue Moon or something like that, for example. Like it seems like it would be a craft beer. It's kind of marketed in that way, in a sense. Like you see the commercials and you kind of get that impression. It's not
Well,
necessarily
it's,
that.
yeah, you see Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Right.
yeah.
But
But that was the first mass-produced wheat beer.
but with the cool thing, I call it's a gateway beer. I think
Yes.
the genie's out of the bottle. It's Pandora's box for them.
Right.
They spent millions of dollars and years teaching their drinkers to try something different.
Yeah.
So then you get the Blue Moon. Well, that's pretty good. And then a little Sierra Nevada comes along. Yuengling Lager comes along.
Sure.
So now you get a richer flavor. And I'm like, well, if I like Sierra Nevada, I'm going to like a Lagunitas.
Right.
If I like this, I'm going to like a Victory. If I like that. And now, it can't, I could drink a light beer occasionally with some pizza and wings, but it's a fraction of what I drink. But as time goes on, still 40% of the beer in the country is light beer. They're losing every day. They're really, we are picking up their scraps every day. For every 5 drinkers they lose, we're picking up 4 of them.
I think that's, not to, I was kind of downplaying the boom before, but I think you have the beer drinkers that were the standard guys who just went out and drank the same stuff all the time are kind of changing their tune, and I think you're going to see that more and more now. And the industry is going to not necessarily go away, but change so dramatically that I don't think you're going to see the big guys. I think are kind of shaking in their boots now.
Oh, absolutely. Because if you walk in, we call it the look of the leader. So when you walked into a store 20 years ago, what'd you see? Bud Light, Coors Light, Miller Light, and a couple other things.
Sure.
Now you go to a store, they're in the back. There's a theory that you put Budweiser on the roof because those drinkers will go get it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to make them walk through every
Yeah.
aisle and see everything. But after a while, if you're 22 years old, you don't know anything but the craft boom.
Sure.
So you think that's normal.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
That's a
you
good
might
point.
see the light beer commercials, but to you, variety is a spice of life.
Yeah.
So you're seeing now. The hard part is they're extremely promiscuous. So they'll have 8 different beers a night.
Right.
You know, it's just a different world where you used to get somebody and you had them. Now, if you get them once a week, you won.
Right. Yeah. It's a brand loyalty is such a difficult
Dead.
thing these days.
Yeah, you really want it. It's kind of brewery loyalty. Like, oh, I like them. I'll try that. But a lot of times, like we said, they check that box. Well, I had that beer. What's next?
Yeah.
Like, it took me 2 months to come up with it.
Right. Right.
Come on.
I mean, you have to really like it to go back to it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you're sampling, you don't drink that much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guilty of it. I mean, I'm not loyal to any specific brand. So if I'll go in and I'll buy based off the label and the design.
Look at the dates. I'll tell you that much.
Right.
If
Of
it's
course.
a pretty
there's-
label,
there's-
that's great. Look at the Be a Milkman.
Right.
But
Right.
Check your dates.
I always go to SBC for the pumpkin.
Yep.
And you said this is the first time in 2 years?
Yeah, we didn't make it last year. It was kind of one of those things where it's.
That was really good. it's still
Thank
good.
you.
It's
really
It's
good. Yes.
well, kind of what we were talking about before is some breweries get in. I really love all beer, but some beer they're only making Belgians or they're only making IPAs. We make everything from German. This color, German lagers. This
Thanks.
is it's a German Doppelbock, and one of the cool things about our system is it's called a Bohemian decoction kettle, which it's kind of like a double boiler. So you create the mash, which is basically kind of like steeping oatmeal,
Yeah.
and we push it into this vessel that's super heated, and it caramelizes the sugars and condenses it and caramelizes it and condenses it over
Okay.
an hour, and then you put it back in. So that's what gives it that rich flavor, that rich color. You get a lot of dry flavor, but it actually starts to create stuff. But it's a centuries-old method of European, like German lagering. So we do that for all of our lagers. So when we make a lager, it's not just it's a different yeast; it's a different process. But then we make Belgian beers. We make light. I think we're best known for our Shady Spot Lemon Shandy. It's a World Beer Cup winner.
Absolutely.
It's
Lots of
our
people like
light
that
beer.
beer.
It's our light beer. It's 4.2%.
The grapefruit's
Grapefruit's pretty good. That's why I
Yeah,
just
I
say
like that too.
you don't have to like them all. You just have to like one. You know?
Right.
So we make 4.2 to 12%. We've got a triple bock we just made that we're going to age in port barrels for a year, things like that. So, but we do a side by side. So here's the beer aged on oak. Here's the beer aged in port.
I have a toes up from 2 years ago still.
That was
waiting.
I have one of the salted caramels left. One. And I keep yelling at my friend. I'm like, don't even touch it. Like, we'll open it. I swear to God, we'll drink it.
It's like down on the bottom shelf
Yep.
and in the back. I'm like, don't
Yeah.
touch it.
Yeah. I'm like, that's a hard no. What do you mean it's a hard no? Like, don't drink that beer.
One question I have, and this is not a knock. Opening those bottles is probably the most difficult thing in the world to do.
Well, if you want it, you got to work for it. Now, I'm not going to lie. We started off, you know how many wax producers I've gone through? And I think I got the guy. It's actually, I think, the same wax that Maker's Mark uses.
Okay, good.
So it's a softer wax. All you need is a good opener now.
I've
You have to
used-
learn how to do it. It's all
I've used
hand
one of
done.
those. Like
yeah.
I've almost cut my hand with a
Oh,
knife.
that's when I said
Yeah.
this is stupid. I think I still have the scar.
Yeah. Well, thank you. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no.
Actually, I think I made a comment on the SBC Facebook page because I was like, this is like not the third one in that night. It was just the third time opening one of those wax, and I'm like, they gotta figure this out. Like,
Well, and I'm not going to lie. It's all hand done. So, the first time you do something, it's terrible.
Sure.
Our first boxes, I can still remember, guys, I love your beer, but could you cut down on the glue? We were putting so much glue on the boxes, you had to cut the
couldn't
box
open
apart. You couldn't open it. So the first couple wax dip bottles we made, get it in there. And double dip. Now it's dip, twirl, down. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that works. All
Yeah,
right.
I may still have a photo of like me like the process of
Oh, yeah. No, I still try to get into some of them. I'm like, what were we thinking?
yeah.
Pay a
At
little
least
bit.
I'm glad you recognize it. 'Cause
Oh,
I
yeah.
felt bad. I'm like, I'm not one of those consumers that is going to call someone up and be like, "Hey, asshole, fix your shit." But
No, I'm like the hair club for men. I'm not just the president, but I'm also a customer.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a person that's opened more SB. In fact, I know there's not a person that's opened more of those bottles than me.
Right.
So when I'm fighting with it, I'm like, all right.
Yeah, you can't do it.
If I can't do it,
Joe
but-
Schmo can't do it. Yeah.
Right.
We should probably get to questions
Yeah, we'll
and
read
let them
a
get
couple
their last
of,
plugs
comments, anything that the people said here. So if you have a question, get
did
it in now.
One
We
thing
gotta
that I
wrap up.
saw that was pretty relevant was Mary McKenna from Carl Hall.
Yep.
How much is a sponsorship? So maybe, Mary, if you don't want to say it out loud, you can contact Joe.
Yeah,
or
I know, Mary. You can. I mean, if you want to give something away, we're all. If that's something you're interested in, or it's not that part. We're just trying to get people in the door. Really. I mean,
Yeah.
the records are going to speak for themselves. The beer speaks for itself. Come on down. If you want to be part of it, then just contact me online.
Michael Kurtz, when we were talking about Record Store Day, the Flaming Lips Record Store Day release had beer in it, so that's.
Oh, that's right. The record had beer inside.
That's
of it.
pretty cool.
Actually, Michael Kurtz, you should know, is the president of Record Store Day. He's the king of Record Store Day. He's the guy.
Well, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate that.
Michael,
That's
if you
cool.
like what you're watching, you want to be a sponsor of the show
Yeah, absolutely.
every Wednesday, or
We cover a lot of music. so-
or there's a show on Saturday nights.
Yeah, all right.
He's actually, he's in charge of getting the, Doc Martin to sponsor Record Store Day so that the record stores could have, more free stuff to give away, or to have bags, or to have, and we're also part. I'm now back involved with the selection committee of what records get released on Record Store Day.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's kind of exciting, and you should see those emails.
Well, it's such a small community. I'm sure it's probably tight knit too now with independent record
Well,
stores.
I mean, there were three sort of warring factions back in the old days of record store groups.
Yeah.
And, about 5 years ago, everybody realized that it'd be best if we all sort of got together and made a united front. And so there's now, I'm pretty sure it's 1,200 stores sort of numbered in that group now of independent record stores. The three groups that sort of lead it have about 300 stores. And it's a strong group right now. I mean, we're making progress,
Nice.
for sure. I mean, we sell, a few $1 million worth of records on one day. You get noticed.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
And I think the quality of the releases. Some people, the people who've been in it since the beginning might downplay or slag on some of the titles. Why are you doing this, or why are you doing that, or why did you do a Taylor Swift release? But it's really, if you look at it closely, we're trying to get things for everybody so that everybody's included.
Right.
So Record Store Day is a huge part of it. We're ramping it up this year. It's April. We'll have some great releases again, and we're going to try to top ourselves. We usually do bands and giveaways and all sorts of things. We're going to ramp that up one more notch, hopefully this spring.
Nice. Well, we'll be talking about that. I'm sure
Okay.
we'll be in touch.
Cool.
Once that rolls
Yeah.
around. Brad from Great Lakes says, Fred, let's do a collab.
Hey, what's up, Brad? How you doing, buddy?
Longtime friend of the show, so thank you for tuning in.
Scummy Yankees fan though. Go Red Sox.
From the Midwest, Yankee fan.
Oh, he's not.
No, Brad's.
Brad's a local.
Yeah, Brad's a local guy.
Oh, okay.
I like the Yankees, so let's go, Brad. Come on.
But who won the World Series this year?
What do you have? Come on. My best friend is an obnoxious Red Sox fan. So I still have to cook him a prime steak. That was our bet. I got to make him dinner.
Nice.
And it's going to cost me about $100 in beef to pay my debt. I don't know if I
Like the
should have just
Mets.
said that's it.
That
Yeah, I
Mets.
do that. Yeah, you and Will, the only Mets fans I know. Shout out
You
to
have
Will
to have
Beekman.
thick skin.
Yeah.
Will's,
Hey, they got a good
working
brewery
right
there.
now.
In
Yeah, Will's
Yeah,
working.
yeah.
I always want to say Shea Stadium, but they have
City Field.
City Field. It's a pretty McKellar. They have like one of the fanciest brewers in the world at City Field, like built-in brew pub right
Wow. We need one of
I was
those
at the Breckenridge Brewery
PNC
in
Field, right?
1986.
there. That's early. They couldn't have been open very long.
And I'm like, I was like, we should do this in Wilkes-Barre, and people came and went, and tried the brewery thing and didn't work, and finally, some people
Now
got
there's
it.
a
Some
bunch
people got
of
it
us.
right. Absolutely.
Yeah, Breaker's making some great beer. Benny, there's some good beer out there. North
Absolutely.
Slope. I'm kind of surprised. I just saw there's like 28 in our region from 0 a couple, like 8 years ago. That Breaker was about the first, I think. Outside of the Lion. I shouldn't disparage the Lion.
I mean, there was a
They've
brewery,
been here for
there
a
was a
while.
brewery where the arena was. Remember that one?
Yes.
Black Rock.
Yeah.
Right. It didn't last.
No.
And
Well, why didn't I just turned 21? That was around. I was like,
It's just like too
wait a
soon.
minute, wait, hold
They
on.
weren't ready.
Like,
You know, who
they
knows?
they brew their own beer that's not Coors
Right, and
Light.
people are like, I want Coors Light. I want.
yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't
They
understand.
had it all, but still, in those days, you were running a restaurant.
Yeah.
Which has like a 90% failure rate.
Right.
So if you're not really good at what you do, so a lot of these were guys jumping in with no idea what they're getting into. Oh, I got to hire a brewer. Oh, I also have to manage a kitchen. I got to have a chef. Oh, I got to take care of people.
Yeah.
You know, so it kind of swings both ways. Like it's a lot of restaurants come and go. So that like the early phase was that they had to climb a lot of mountaintops and had no idea how to get there.
Right. One of our photographers, Scott Kucharski, I know he's a regular
Big customer. Great customer.
Still looking for the first female who's impressed by my ever-growing record collection. But in all seriousness, Joe and his family should be commended for what they've done and continue to do for generations of music fans in the Valley.
Gallery Sound, 1972, but my father had a record store right down the street in the early 60s, mid 60s. Only sold 45s because that's all there was. For rock and roll, there was 78s and whatever, but for rock and roll,
Yeah.
only 45s. It's a shoebox, barely, really tiny, only 45s. And then graduated to a store inside of the Wayne department store. If you
Oh man, yeah, you're
have
going back.
local history, which was like a Walmart of its time, but each department was owned by somebody local or somebody regional that managed their department. And then when you sold something, you had to wait to get your money from the owner of the store. And then when they went bankrupt, my father lost a ton of money in that deal. And they had 3 stores here, Taylor, Pennsylvania, and like Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Wow.
And yeah, he got screwed on that one pretty good. And then kind of phased out of that, and then opened Gallery Sound, and had a store downtown, and somehow got into the Wyoming Valley Mall, which was at the time new. People were like, who the hell's going to shop in a mall? And then the flood came, and the mall was the only thing, which turned out to be, you know, a miracle of all that.
One of our regular listeners, Blind Choice, they're a local group out of this area and the Lehigh Valley as well. SBC and Gallery Sound, 2 great businesses. We had the opportunity to play at, shop local.
They just played last weekend. We had Black Friday Record Store Day.
Yep.
And then we had followed up by Small Business Saturday. And at Small Business Saturday, we had 9 bands play between both of our stores. Bunch of locals, regional, and then Send Request, which is our next band, you know, on the national scene. They've got a real record. They got a real record deal. An amazing story how they got it, and you know, maybe they're next up.
Yeah, we've had them on the show.
I
They're
think
great
so.
guys.
I remember texting you saying, "Hey, do you have this new record?" Like, no.
Yeah, I mean, it was
it.
they were like they were so young that they were never like a carrying thing. Like
I'm gonna
they
get on it.
didn't quite get it, but now they're on board, and you know, we had a good promotion with them, and they sounded great. I mean, it was like a full on rock show. I mean, the regular customers might have left at that moment, but it was you know, we had 50 people there probably. It was pretty good.
They were on Nick's show too.
Oh, yeah,
Send
that's
Request,
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, great guys. They made that video that's floating around the internet.
that's cool too. Yeah,
that
I do want my $5 refund though. I paid $10 for the record.
I'll give you 5. I'll give you 5 when we're done.
Kidding.
Yeah, we had made a deal to make it $5 with their record label, which was supportive. So
That's
good.
cool.
That's awesome.
And they made that great video, and it's doing all right in the internet world. And we had
Well, they're
some
big-
support from
they're-
Record Store Day.
Big advocates for streaming. Those guys.
Well, they're of that generation. They're a little younger.
Well,
so
they want people to discover it. And
I mean, they just got to get out
Yeah.
there. I mean,
Right.
they need to be able to. I mean, they need to spread it out so that they can go out and tour.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's about. At this point for them, they need to either get on a good tour or get themselves enough dates that they can sort of extend it. Because even though they're on a they have a national deal, it's an independent label. It's not endless money, and they're not going to get a huge tour.
Right.
But I think they need to get placement somewhere, which is, at this point it costs money to be on a tour as the opening act.
sure,
If you don't know that, you don't make any money.
pay to play.
Right.
Right. Or you make it, somehow
just
you
sell
create
t-shirts.
you create enough buzz that people want to come see you.
Yeah.
Which is with all the noise out there on the internet, it's a little trickier.
Yeah, that's a tough thing. And you know what? It's funny too. Like people around here, I don't think still understand that there's more local bands around here that have made it than Breaking Ben. Like you ask your average person who the Menzingers are, or Title Fight or Tiger Shaw, or any of these bands that have absolutely made it by
Absolutely.
any definition of.
I mean, the
made it,
Menzingers have
so to
circled
speak.
the globe.
Yeah,
they
several
really
times.
have. I mean,
but
you
you
know,
ask
and-
your average go out on the square right now and ask somebody who they are, and no clue. But if
Right.
you ask them who Breaking Ben is, most of them know who they
Yeah.
are, and they know they're from here.
I mean, Breaking Benjamin has still outsold all those bands by
oh yeah,
by
I mean they're one of the
millions.
biggest rock bands out there touring
pretty
right
much,
now, which is
Yeah.
crazy to
And
think about.
and they've been
got
really
to be here when I was like 22, 23, 24 years old, and they were still going to. We were going to Tanks. We're going
Yeah,
to
Right.
yeah,
Voodoo.
exactly.
Right.
And
Voodoo.
it was a scene. Like when they were playing, you knew to be there because there
Right.
was something going on. But
Yeah.
I remember the music. It was great. Like there was always something good going on. Like back then you're 23, like $5. You want $5 to come in and listen to a band? But it was, in hindsight, I'm like, you schmuck. It's the price of a beer.
Yeah.
Pay the band.
I was just saying too the other day to a local a guy who's a local musician. The price hasn't changed either. It's still like $5 to go see a band. Where the hell did inflation kick in? Like these people
that's
are
why
making
same
nothing.
thing with CDs. CDs
like-
price CDs have gone down, not
Right.
up. I mean,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
they tried to inch them up to $20, but that was thwarted. And now it's like, well, if it's not $10, I don't want it. If it's 11, all right, I'll take it. But
Right.
But yeah, I mean those prices haven't changed, and I would assume like a $3 draft is the same $3 draft that it's been for the past 20 years too.
Yeah.
On some of the macro stuff, but it's kind of funny. We laugh at. I can't believe. I remember when half a beer was $50.
Right.
Yeah,
Now it's
like 120.
to start.
Yeah,
To really
The fancy beers are like
The fancy beers,
eighths or
some
the
of those
sixths or
beers,
whatever
yeah.
those are. They're like, I don't know what that.
We sell $100 sixtels,
Yeah.
and I mean it's great, but it's in the money's in the mix because you can't make it without. If you're not going to get the price, you can't make it because some of the ingredients. I mean, you're importing hops from all over the world and doing things like this. So,
Sure.
it kind of comes to math. Like, can't do it if we're not going to get the price.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't. The average person, I don't think, takes into account any
And when
of
you're
those
buying
costs,
a pint of beer, you don't see the.
yeah, you're not looking at it.
And
in
it's
those
also
terms.
6-7% instead of 3.5%.
So what about the turnover in bars, like a place that has 72 taps or whatever?
Yeah.
Is there enough action on all those taps?
Most of them. You could always
But I
tell.
mean, is this stuff going bad? I mean, I've gone to places, I'll have to say, not beer boys, but I've gone to places where I've gotten a beer that I'm like, it's not really that great.
Right.
You know what? It could be the original beer just as much.
Well, no. If you know the beer,
it goes-
it wasn't like I wasn't trying things. I was like, it's the beer I know, and it tastes wrong.
There's you kind of got to learn to.
Like, what's the shelf life?
It depends on
half
the. It
or an
really
eighth
does
or a
depends on the
sixth
beer.
or-
Like I was talking about that NEIPA. It's 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
Right.
You get this beer, it's 6 months.
Right.
You get a big stout. You put Miller Lite on. That's not good. There's nothing to change.
You can run that for 100
could
years.
run that for
It'll
100
taste the same
yeah.
crap.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I was talking about. Check the date. Check the faucet with some condensation on it. It means people are pouring. It's a sickness. I've been taught since I was 5 years old. Like, oh, would you? My wife was my bartender, that sort of thing. I could sit in a bar in about 20 minutes. I know what everybody's drinking.
Well, unfortunately, we got to wrap up. But thank you so much for coming on and sharing these brews with us. This is great. This is really good. I
That's
had
one of
this.
my favorites.
Yeah, I
I
had
like
this a
that.
while ago, so it's.
I didn't even realize that they didn't make it
back out
last
again.
year.
No, we made an imperial stout. Toes
You
up.
must have been shopping at places that still has them. On the
Yeah, and it's
side.
around. It
No,
kinda
the
holds
years
up.
are just
Yeah.
Yeah,
are just going by.
doesn't it?
They got the toes up. You know, it's just It's I don't drink as much as I used to. This is like my biggest drinking night of the week.
Pretty much every week.
I'm actually impressed with you guys. You rolled in with 3 32-ounce growlers. That's a session.
Yeah,
That's
we're-
nice. I like that.
Sometimes we don't finish them because like sometimes we've guests who don't drink.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's like,
the
well,
hardest
we
part.
can't do this.
And people
We're
egg us
driving
on
home
in the
like-
comments.
Yeah,
And they're like, why are you drinking that? And it's like, come on, man. I'm trying to do an interview too, you know? I don't
driving
think
to Scranton, I'm driving to Pittston. Yeah, Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
jeez. You're going to
It's a
kill
fun-
us.
It's a fine line between loosening up the lips between like marbles in your mouth too.
Right.
I got to that
Exactly.
point like
So make sure you check out NEPA Pop-Up Record Fair. It's Sunday, December 9th from noon to 6 at Susquehanna Brewing Company. And make sure you bring your vinyl records or come and pick some up if that's your thing. Have some beers, go on the tour, the whole 9 yards.
Free beers, free bags,
Yeah,
can you
absolutely.
go wrong?
This is
good
great.
food.
Free shipping. Wildbeats.com. Popco free.
Yes.
POPKO free. Free shipping.
Thank you all for tuning in tonight, and we will see you here next Wednesday.
And thank you, Beer Boys, for the awesome beer from
Yes.
SBC.
Yes.
cheers guys. Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.